Stuff I found interesting.
Right, so the first one on this list is, as we touched on in the intro, the reason why Barry is at an alternate recording location today, load shedding being still a thing in South Africa. Now, this is quite a surprise to me. Obviously, I left there, when load shedding was a thing that had, taken up a lot of frustration in a lot of the time that I was there, and there was certainly a 5-year gap in load shedding, and it seems to now be back better than ever. Barry, talk us through it.
Yeah, so I think it's worth explaining what load shedding is, because I know that it's a very South African term, and I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine in the US when I was there about a month ago now, and I mentioned load shedding, and he had no idea what I was talking about. So let me explain what it is. Basically, Eskom is the giant power operator here in South Africa, and they operate all of the power grids. And they've had a lot of issues with maintenance on their projects and maintenance on their sites and things going wrong in the power grid. And that's resulted in rolling blackouts where they have switched off huge parts of the country's electricity to try and manage the load so that they don't have a complete blackout. And so what load shedding is they'll take certain parts of suburbs and they will turn off their electricity for 4 to 6 hours at a time during every single day in a lot of cases, and really cause a lot of havoc in the cities. Because what you don't realize until you have no power is how reliant you are on power, how reliant you are for Wi-Fi and for robots to work and for shops to run their business and for all sorts of things. And when you don't have it, all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, it's actually super, super important. And it's the kind of problem we shouldn't be having in 2019. Like, we should have solved the power issue by now. Electricity should be widely available and should be available at all times. And so to go through this kind of period once again, like you said, it's been a while since we had this. But in the last week or two, we've gone back into load shedding. And so, for example, yesterday I had 6 hours of my day where I had no power whatsoever in my house. And so it's getting, I think, in the last couple of days, it went to what's called stage 6, which is the highest it's ever been to. And what that means is that basically you're getting 6 to 8 hours every single day, no matter where you are in the country. Luckily, tonight it's back down to level 2, but once again, when I was due to record this podcast in my own house, unfortunately, Eskom decided the other that we have to move. And so load shedding itself is very bad for the South African economy. It really is damaging for the reputation and for the morale of the country. You just kind of feel the morale kind of drip down when something like this happens. And so it's tough to deal with, and it feels like a problem we should have solved already.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a tough one when you have to say you're lucky to have stage 2. Stage 2 still being quite a bit of downtime. So, as you say, significant effects on the working world, on people, just running their day-to-day lives. Not good for traffic. So anyone out and about on the roads is really hating this. Lots of businesses resort to having generators, which they pay a big premium on electricity for fuel and diesel and that kind of thing. And as you say, in 2019, why is this still a thing? My thing is, how do you go from stage 0 to stage 6 in a couple of weeks? I did see something about an excessive rainfall coming about at one of the plants. One of the articles I saw, basically a statement being released from Eskom's chairperson and acting CEO, Jabu Mabuza, essentially just saying that he doesn't think they're failing. That's quite an interesting one for me. Clearly, there hasn't been any maintenance done at this plant, as significant as this rainfall could be, should it result in going from stage 0 to stage 6?
Yeah, I think one of the key problems that always gets unraveled when we have this load shedding is that we are too reliant on major power plants for our national grid, right? We don't have enough diversified power generators or power plants. And so what happens is when you have a big plant like Medupi that goes down or has maintenance that doesn't go right or rain or whatever the story is, if it takes out one of the big major plants, it has a huge impact on the capacity of South Africa to generate its own electricity. And so we don't have enough diversification. The regulation hasn't opened up enough doors for alternative uses for solar and those kinds of power generators. If you want to generate your own power, it's very, very challenging from a regulation perspective. And so I think personally that South Africa is way too reliant on these 3 or 4 major power plants, where if one goes down, which sometimes happens, you're in big, big trouble. And that's why we see this rapid expansion from a stage 0 to a stage 6 in no time, because if a big plant goes down, we lose a significant portion of our capacity.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, as you say, being quite reliant on a small number of plants, but I think most importantly here, being reliant on one provider. So obviously in the UK, I may be wrong here, but I've just done a quick Google and something came up there to compare 86 energy suppliers. There are, it's a free market way of doing it, and I haven't had one day of no electricity. Very competitive, everyone kind of advertises their rates quite openly. You could even lock in your rates for a period of time. As I said, so basically when I moved into this place, I did a 2020 plan. So essentially up till 2020, the rates are fixed. And by that, I've actually avoided 2 price increases. So yeah, definitely benefits of a free market economy. And I mean, the increase in calls to get the national regulator split up a bit.
Definitely. And that's kind of the murmurs throughout the country and the murmurs throughout the business world as well, is that when is this going to be privatized and when is it going to be opened up to competition, right? As you say, if one company has a monopoly and they don't have the accountability to have to run efficiently, they can make mistakes. They don't have the social pressure of knowing that they have competition in their midst. And so this is such an important piece of South Africa, such an important piece of the economy. And so there's a lot of calls for it to be privatized and kind of split up. There are a lot of complications with that, so it's not an easy task, it's not an easy route to go. But like you say, that's the fairest way to open it up and actually fight for the best service, the best reliability to avoid these kinds of situations. South Africa can't expect to become a developed country and kind of continue to lead the African continent if we can't keep our lights on. It's a simple foundational thing that needs to feed the economy. And before we can get to any other fancy stuff, we need to fix that as well.
Back to basics. So on this theme and, kind of just the natural theme of progression, really, I saw this last week up on one of my social media platforms, the essentially movement of something called #I'mStaying. And I want to kick this one off with a very funny tweet that I saw by a lead singer and, as far as I know, trumpeter of a band called The Kiffness. Which is the 6 stages of I'm Staying. Stage 1, denial. Stage 2, denial. Stage 3, denial. Stage 4, denial. Stage 5, denial. Stage 6, #I'm leaving.
Pond across the pond.